Hey guys, sorry to cut into the video here. We'll be back to the review here shortly, but just wanted to take a note here or take a minute here and thank you all for subscribing to the channel and liking the content so far. We are on a push right now to get 100 subscribers. And at 100 subscribers, I have a very special review for you. It is a My Father Le Bejoy 1922 100 Años. This is the cigar that they released last year, a limited release cigar for Mr. Pepin Jose Garcia. His father would have been 100 years old last year, so they put this out in honor or commemorate of him. And we really like to review this cigar for you, so please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you here.
Hey, welcome back to the Smoke Shack. You got Connor and Steven here for another review.
We are bringing you today a My Father Connecticut edition cigar. This is an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Nicaraguan Corojo binder, and a Nicaraguan filler. The size that we are smoking here today for you is the 5.2 by 52 Robusto. The roll here on the wrapper is very, very nice and even. There's a couple little veins here. Yes. I'm going to take off the bottom band, show you these top two bands here.
The bands look very nice. They're very even. I don't know if you can see how they kind of combine there. Very well done.
Yeah, I really like My Father products. Their bands are just really, really catchy and flashy. I like the die cut that they use, how they cut just right out of what they need. It just looks really good.
It's a very, very even roll, a perfect spring to it. Maybe a very mild to slight sheen, but there's a lot of vein action going on here. Even some teeth you can see. Very well constructed cigar, just from the initial appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. The aroma here of the body, for me, I'm getting a hay and barnyard smell. Just some really nice light Connecticut smells.
Yeah.
Is what you getting as well?
You know, also to add to that, I got the hay, but there's kind of like a mild, if you go into an aviary or conservatory where there's that controlled environment for humid plants to grow, almost like a jungle smell to it. I've never smelled that on a cigar before, so I think that's kind of unique. A lot of the hay on the foot. It's also a double cap.
Get a lot of hay on the toe or the foot. A lot of cedar as well, and a little bit of sweetness. I'm not sure what the sweetness is, but it's sweet. I don't know what it is.
I think I might be attributing that jungle to the sweet, or the sweet to the jungle rather.
And that cap on top is really nice looking double cap, like Connor said. The cap is definitely not. It's definitely placed on there real nicely.
It's a very well constructed cigar.
Very, very nice cap. All right, gonna cut these open and get some pre-light draws.
I took off a little bit more there than I normally would, but pretty even cut. About halfway through the first cap.
A good rule of thumb that I like to use, and you know what? I'll tilt the camera down here for you real quick. But right here we got where I'm cutting a cigar. So I put my cigar down like this, and I have my cutter. Connor, can you hold that camera?
Yeah.
So I already cut it, as you can see, but I will put my cutter down here, throw my cigar in there, and then use that as my depth and just cut it. That way you're cutting off a perfect top of the cap every single time. It's nice even. It's just a nice even control there. Sometimes with a drier cigar, you gotta watch it because you're gonna put it down there and snap it. When you snap it, you'll break the whole wrapper. So just watch it with the drier cigar, but rule of thumb, I like doing that when I cut my cigars.
So I got my initial dry jaw taste here, and it's a lot of hay. A little bit of wood in there, cedar, or maybe even a hint of pine. But the airflow is really, really good right now.
You know, I didn't pick out that pine until you said it. There is pine in there. I
There's
didn't
a
even
hint of
notice
pine.
it. Yeah. The pine, the cedar is what I'm getting. Hay, like Connor said. And then there are some earthy tones in there as well that are combining with that wood. I'm not sure what the earthy tones are. Maybe a little soily, barnyardy. I'm going to go ahead and light these up, though.
Yeah, there's hints of pine and a bit of a nutty. That's a really good taste. I haven't quite figured out what it is yet, but there's a nutty flavor there. Maybe like a sage.
I'm getting something floral, but I'm not sure what that is. I also get some cream as well. There's the cedar. And then there's a subtle white or black pepper in the background.
I think it's a white.
But those are just the opening initial notes here. Pretty complex so far. We're gonna go ahead and smoke this down though into the towards the end of the first third, and then catch you back up with our thoughts on the flavor profile and how the combustion's holding up. See you here shortly.
Hey, welcome back. We're gonna review the first third here. Got a very nice ash. That slightly uneven burn, sort of my fault. I didn't light it very well. Had to give it a little touch up. But the ash, very good quality. Slightly flaky, but it's hanging on there. It's kind of flaking with the cigar.
Yeah.
Very good taste. It's very, very smooth on the palate. Very balanced. Pretty intricate. However, I would say the flavor's not as rich. More on the bland side, just because they're such perfectly blended flavors. I got a lot of hints of pine and cedar. There's that floral notes that Steve was mentioning earlier kind of coming out a little bit more, I'm noticing. The white pepper went away. However, there's still a hint of sage in the background. I can't really distinguish if it's a creamy sage or what, but it's very tasty. Steve, what are your thoughts here?
Definitely a Connecticut cigar here. Get all the Connecticut flavors here in the first third. Like Connor said with the ash, it is. It looks like a hay bale. It's like kind of slightly
Just popped
fakey,
off
but
there.
pretty solid altogether. I do have a slightly wavy char line here, but nothing too bad. The draw is also slightly loose for me, but other than that, pretty solid here. I think the flavor, like Connor said, it's a 4 out of 5 here.
Yeah.
It's punching well above what a medium flavor, or a mild cigar's flavor should be. Mild cigar flavor should be a lot less than this. It's very rich for that, but comparing it to any other cigar, it's just not as rich as those.
Just real quick there, to mention that first couple of puffs, it was slightly bitter, but that really went away. I haven't had that yet. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did not notice that at all. I, however, do have a slightly different first third than you on my flavor notes. So my flavor profile, I get that cedar really heavily,
Okay.
Just like Connor does, but Connor gets a little bit more pine
Yeah, I
in
get
there.
more pine.
I'm not getting the pine. Maybe I'm just not tasting it. I also get a vanilla, very sweet vanilla in this first third. A milky cream in the background. I say milky cream as in a really light cream. It's more on the milk side than the cream side. And then there's a very slight black pepper in the background, and also some very slight chocolate as well. Those notes are just not as rich, so I can see how they can be looked over.
Yeah.
But really, it's that cedar, vanilla, and that milk cream, I think, that are the highlights here, as well as I forgot to mention the floral note that I don't know what it is, but it's something floral.
And actually, I have picked up on that vanilla taste, like vanilla cream that Steve mentioned. I might have just mistook it for like a white pine though. but it's a very good balanced
Yeah.
flavor.
Well, it's
here going on.
extremely balanced, and I
Yeah.
think that's the tough part with this cigar. Well, really, a lot of My Father cigars, they're so well blended, so well balanced, that it's tough to pick apart a couple notes and really digest that flavor profile in each third, especially on a more mild cigar like this. But I mean, all in all, pretty fantastic so far. I think it's a better than expected as far as a Connecticut cigar, but still going to be lacking that rich flavor. And I think we're probably going to get that here in that second third as well. That's just a prediction here. But we're going to go ahead and smoke these down to the halfway point, and then we'll catch you up with our thoughts here on the second third. Bringing you back in at about the halfway point in this cigar. As far as construction goes, the ash looks great on this cigar. It still looks kind of like a little flaky, like Connor said there earlier, but flaking with the ash rather than out and away from the ash. You know, kind of looks like a hay bale where you have this little just flake of ash here. Anyway, nice even char line here as well. The draw is still slightly loose for me, but my flavor profile changes up really nicely here. I get more of a graham cracker, roasted nuts. Oak is my woody note here. As far as the roasted nuts, one of the nuts that kind of jumps out to me is almond. It's definitely roasted almond in there. I'm not sure what the other roasted nuts are, but it's definitely more than just almond. And then there's still that milky cream in there. Again, that it's like a really, really light cream. That's why I'm saying milky cream. It's like a glass of milk, rather than how rich that cream is. Anyway, extremely smooth here still, extremely complex and very, very, very balanced. Richness of flavor still is not hitting those high marks. Still 4 out of 5, but mild is in the strength still on this cigar. So really, for that strength or that richness to be 4 out of 5 with the mild strength is still punching well above its weight class here, which I really enjoy. Connor, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so like Steve said, my flavors here, it did switch up. I mentioned earlier that the first part was slightly bitter. This second third, it got a lot creamier for me. I picked out a lot more creamy floral notes. The hay really picked up for me, but Steve mentioned the graham cracker taste, and I think that's a really good one that I'm tasting it, but I wasn't picking it out as a graham cracker, so I totally agree with that. It's still very smooth on the mouth. It's pretty intricate, not the most. The flavor profile, again, it's not extremely rich, but it's not bland. It's just very mild. It's a perfect mild cigar. It's a very Connecticut cigar. Yeah. Very, very well balanced. I don't know that I've had a cigar this well balanced in a while. It might just be that it's a Connecticut and I'm not used to smoking Connecticut's, but it's really well done so far. And again, you can see here my wrapper is kind of flaked off where I pulled off that first band.
Yeah.
Slightly uneven burn here going, but it's not really affecting the overall taste. If I could probably peel this back and it's an even cigar ash there. It's very white, flaky, very good quality tobacco. Big fan of this so far.
Yeah, definitely a big fan. As far as Connecticut cigars go, I really like this. Now, a lot more Connecticut cigars that I like are actually a lot more on the medium side or finish on the medium side. This is one of the lighter Connecticut cigars that I've had.
It isn't picking up at all. It's staying very mild throughout the entire smoke, which is enjoyable.
I think this is probably one of the best mild cigars I've ever had. At least top 3.
I agree.
If not the number 1 so far. We still have another third to go.
Yep.
But it's looking really good so far. So we're going to go ahead and smoke these down into the final third. And then me and Connor will catch you back up with our thoughts.
All right. Welcome back. Final third and overall scores here. My final third, the flavor changed again, which is actually really the signs of a good cigar for me, where you get 3 different flavors throughout the whole, they're always changing. The final third, it got nuttier and a little bit of a spicier flavor. I didn't pick up any specific flavor for a nut. Maybe something like a darker almond or walnut. It got spicier, but the very weird overall comparison that I was able to pick up was kind of like a hoisin sauce, like an Asian sauce for soups and meats. It just really reminds me of that, and I'm a big fan of that. So my overall tasting notes, I'm giving it a 66 out of 70. Very well balanced. It changed a lot, but they're not my overall favorite tastes to get in a cigar. It was a mild finish, pretty linear evolution for me. The changes were very subtle. It wasn't like anything was like exploding in my mouth of flavor. 66 is still a pretty good score. My presentation was a 10 out of 10. I'm a huge fan of the wrappers. The paper had really good quality to it. The puzzle piece part of it was really cool to me. Combustion, I'm gonna go a 6 out of 10. The burn was slightly wavy, the ash kind of flaky, and the wrapper kind of cracked in a couple of places. But the overall pre-light was a 10 out of 10. I thought it was a very even roll, very good spring, all of that from the beginning of the video. My overall score for the My Father was a 92. Very good cigar that I would recommend. Very mild, liked it a lot.
As far as my final third goes, my flavor profile, kind of like Connor's, doesn't really change up much here in the final third than from the second third. I still have the graham cracker here, still have the oak, still have the almond, still have that cream, but I have lost the roasted nuts notes, but picked up a really heavy black pepper and red pepper. The black pepper is nice, it crackles in your mouth, but the red pepper is spicy. Very, very nice amount of pepper there. I think the balance is like really the highlight from the whole cigar, but here it's extremely balanced, and it shows it with that pepper spiciness, because the pepper's just it's not too pronounced in any ways. It's not too spicy. It's not too, cracking in your mouth. Doesn't take over the palate. It's just so balanced.
Very balanced.
But the richness of flavor does come up here in the final third. And that also comes up with the strength. We get from a mild strength, at least from what I got, from a mild strength on the first and second third. I now get a mild to medium strength here in the final third. In fact, as I'm getting closer to the end here, it's creeping more to the medium side. It's weird how in that last third it is really spiked up in strength and intensity here, especially with that richness of flavor. Still very complex, still very smooth. The char line is very even here in this final third, good solid ash. My draw has now been ideal. As far as the full cigar goes, the evolution throughout was mediocre for me. It wasn't really super linear because it does change. It changes well. It adds some flavors here. From the first to second third, it changes a lot. But second to third, it uses a lot of the same stuff, and it adds only one note. So a 3 out of 5 there on the evolution. Just couldn't really give it anything higher. And the finish, it is a mild cigar, and the flavor just didn't really hit its rich peakness, or peak richness, I should say. But even with all that, the flavors on the finish just were not super rich, and they weren't super long, but they weren't super short either. It was like that medium ground of it has a nice rich flavor, and then just poof, it shuts off. So I added a 3 out of 5 there on the finish, giving me a total flavor score of 64 out of 70. Pre-light, I had a 10 out of 10 there. Fantastic, as Connor said, nice even roll, good firm spring, all those notes. My combustion, I had a 9 out of 10. I actually had a really good burn on this. There was a hole in the middle of the cigar, like in the dead center, so it didn't affect any of my char line or flakiness of the ash or anything like that. But I did deduct a point for it because it did actually loosen the draw just a bit. So a 9 out of 10 there on the combustion score. Presentation, love My Father's presentation on their bands. I just think that these bands look great. They're die cut perfectly. Material is just high quality. It's really nice. Even the accents here, they're textured. It's just all the little details are really nice there. Total final score for me is a 93 out of 100. So with me and Connor's score together, that's a 92.5 on average. So very close there in score. These things MSRP for $9.25. So if you're going off of my score, price per point is 0.99. If you're going off Connor's score, price per point is probably 1.01.
Yeah.
But either way, fantastic cigar. And if you're going off our average, it's actually a 1.0 exact. Or no, not exact, because 950 would be exact. But close almost very, very close. Anyway, as far as me revisiting this cigar, I think this is one of the best mild cigars. Now, I'm going to have to categorize it as mild medium because of the finish here. It really does kick up in strength. So I do need to categorize it as a mild medium. But even with that categorization, I still think this is one of the best mild medium smokes I've ever had.
I would agree. It was
not top
very
three.
Tasty.
So would I revisit this? Absolutely. Connor, you revisit this as well?
I would have this one again, absolutely.
Yeah, I think this is one of the top Connecticut cigars that I've had.
This would go very, very good with a morning cup of coffee, like an espresso, but a cappuccino, something with some cream on it, some caramel or something like that. I think that would really bring out these tasting notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good morning cigar.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys liked the video, please drop a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Comment down below any cigars you'd like to see us review here in the future, or if you've had this My Father Connecticut and you also think it is a top 3 smoke, or if we're blowing smoke. We'll see you next time here on the Smoke Shack.